what you gonna do, brother? Oh, yeah! Woo! What? What? If you smell what the rock... You got the wrong guy. I'm the dude, man.
Welcome to another edition of Around the Turnbuckle. My name's the Big Albowski. That guy right there is my boy, Professor Keith. And joining us live from Texas is senior referee at Top of Texas Wrestling, Keith, Parker CHRZANOWSKI. What's up, Parker?
How's it going?
Oh, I'm excited. I'm pumped up, man. As I told you pre-show before Keith arrived, you are our first official referee. A referee now, and Keith, correct me if I'm wrong, but usually referees get in the business. It's usually a guy who's learning how to wrestle, and the promoter puts him in the ring as a referee on all their shows, just to kind of learn how to move around in the ring. Not just to necessarily referee, but in Parker's case, Keith, that's all he ever wanted to do, and that's all he's been doing for 6 years.
Yeah, I'm really interested to talk about that because I think personally the referee is the most important job that everybody takes for granted, right?
Yeah.
Because everybody kind of doesn't really notice the referee or doesn't care about the referee unless the referee is like really bad, it seems like to me. You know, and one of the things I think people misunderstand too is the referee is the only person that can shoot during a match, because if the talent screws up, if the guy doesn't get the shoulder up, you got to count that 3.
Right.
If they can't get their ass back in the ring by 10, you got to count to 10. If it looks like they're tapping out, you got to call that, because you cannot break the illusion. And then the referee also, and I know because I do know a referee and I know he's had this problem before, if the talent thinks you screwed up, you now have to go deal with the angry talent in the back that thinks you just ruined their match and screwed them over. So it's a pretty dangerous job, and I don't think a lot of people understand that.
How do you feel about all that, Parker?
I mean, I feel like all you said was true. Is like, for example, if the wrestlers, they don't kick out in time, that's on them. Like, that's one thing that they taught me is like, hey, if they don't kick out on time, that's on them. Or if they don't get back in the ring, that's on them. As long as you're doing your job, you don't get in trouble for it in the back.
All right, so you told me pre-show once upon a time your dad is a very big wrestling fan. Shout-outs to Dad. That he's a wrestling fan, and he sort of kind of got you into wrestling, right?
Right.
Did he take you to events? Did you watch it on TV? Like, how'd that all start?
Well, as far as my memory goes, I've always been a wrestling fan all my life. It's because of my dad, and, you know, every week we would watch it on Monday nights and Friday nights. And then whenever they came to town, he would take me, my brother, to shows and all that. And then once upon a time, his friend was working for the company that we're working for now. And he told us, hey, come on out. You know, we have a ladder match tonight. You know, it would be really cool if you guys can come out. And then we went out that one week. Then we started going back every week.
Ladder match?
Yeah.
Okay. Man. All right. So who trained you? Like, when did you, how old were you when you started training, and who trained you?
I started training whenever I was 15. And my parents had to sign a waiver because I wasn't of age yet.
Right.
And I was actually trained by a guy named Jake Logan at first.
Okay. And now who trains you now?
His name is Nathan Briggs.
Nathan Briggs.
And he has his own wrestling school called the Main Event Wrestling Academy.
I'm in Texas.
Yes.
Okay. And so 6 years, Keith, 15 years old. That means he's 21. Check my math on that, Professor.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay, thank you. So talk about that first match where, after you trained a while, the first time you were at an event where you were the referee. Talk about that whole experience, the butterflies, the excitement, the nervousness. How many people were there? Who wrestled?
Oh my God. The butterflies, and most importantly, like, is first thing whenever I went out to the ring, I had butterflies because I was worried I was going to mess up and not count and all that. And it was, I would have to say, it's in front of about like 50 people. You know, I was nervous. Everyone is on their first match.
Sure.
But then after the bell rang, I sat there. I did my job correctly. Then as soon as that second bell rang, I went to the back. I got criticized by everyone, advice from everybody. And it was just like that.
Good advice, bad advice, or both?
It was a mixture of both because in this business, you never stop learning and you're always going to make mistakes.
All right, so you continued to do that, and you got through that first match. Each match you do you feel like you're learning more as you go?
Yes, because each match is different between the competitors because no two competitors are going to be the same.
Keith?
Now, one thing I want to ask about, because obviously, like we talked about, you have to keep your aura of authority, which is where we talked about, having the shoot sometimes where it's on the guy to kick out, it's on the guys to get back in the ring, stuff like that. Do you find, like you just said, everybody who is in the ring is different? Do you find yourself having to sort of, I don't want to say change, I don't want to imply that you're not, consistent in your job, but do you find that there are little things that maybe you have to tweak depending on who it is in the ring, or do they have to kind of tweak what they do to work with your cadence and your speed?
That's actually a mixture of both. Like some wrestlers, like I've refereed their matches for a while, we kind of adjust to each other, but then we get some new people in from out of town that I've never seen before, watched their videos before, and so I kind of have to adjust to them, and if they come back, they kind of adjust to me a little bit.
I got a guy here that's saying, what's up, Parker? Curtis?
What's up, Curtis?
There you go. Talk about what's the biggest crowd that you've ever performed in front of?
The biggest crowd I've ever performed in front of would have to be maybe about 75 people.
Okay.
And that's just in Texas because I usually don't travel a lot. I usually just stay here in Texas and just do shows here.
So has all your matches been in Texas, or have you ever refereed elsewhere?
I never refereed elsewhere.
Okay.
Is that a goal for you to referee somewhere else, or are you kind of just in the mode of like, hey, I'm getting booked here, I'm living the dream here. If something happens, but I'm good if I just stay right where I am?
My goal is to referee everywhere else I possibly can. But right now, I feel like my calling is just stay here and see what my options are.
So if you had a shot to referee on television for, say, Impact or Ring of Honor or AEW or WWE, you would jump on that?
Oh, in a heartbeat, I will.
That's cool. So talk about the control. All right, Keith spoke about control before. Talk about, trying to keep yourself out of harm's way. You don't know exactly what they're going to do, but the psychology of it involved, because there's two performers. If you have a one-on-one contest, let's just go there because I don't want to get all complicated with tag matches and whatnot. But if it's a one-on-one contest, you have to, as I'm watching if I'm a fan and I'm watching a wrestling match, I mean, even an indie match live, I'm watching the referee. He kind of knows that he shouldn't be on this side of the ring. And if they move over here, talk about that. Talk about where you got to be and how do you control that?
From what I was taught is whenever you're in a one-on-one match, to always try to stay in the corner. Because in one corner, you can always not be in the way. And you always try to be in one of the two corners that the wrestlers are not going to fight in. And then whenever they do get in the corner, you kindly go up to them and be like, hey, come on, get out of the corner, Or if they're in the center of the ring, I typically try to stay on one of the sides of them, just try to stay out of their way.
Were you ever in a position where, what we talked about earlier, where when, they weren't, certain, somebody was supposed to go over, but he didn't kick out. Did that ever happen to you?
Yes, actually, that happened my first couple months refereeing.
Yeah.
This one guy, he did a leg drop off of the top rope to somebody, and he was supposed to kick out of it, but as soon as I hit three is when he kicked out, and I called for the bell. I can't go back on that.
And what happened after that?
What happened after that, we got into the back. The booker asked me what happened. I told him, hey, I hit threes whenever he kicked out. Right. And I told him I can't go back on that because that makes the entire match look stupid then.
Right. And it makes your authority look stupid. And it makes you, I mean, you know, that's the kind of stuff that you see on, forgive me for saying, botchamania, because like, you know what I mean? Because you see, referees, go 1, 2, 3, and then they look up at, I've seen it happen. I've seen it like on botchamania where they go 1, 2, and they stop counting and the guy's still down.
Right.
And they look over at they go 2, and I'm like, the guy's still laying there.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you've got to be the legitimate authority figure in there, because if the audience can't believe in you, they can't believe in the match, and this is one of the things that, and I know we keep using them as a punching bag on this show, but stop doing stupid crap and I won't do it, guys. They have a real problem with that in AEW, where some of their referees, and I'm not going to name names, we know who they are. Some of the referees really have problems with that, where it seems like they either don't understand what the rules are supposed to be, or they're looking around and going, oh, but so-and-so is supposed to do this here. Like, I mean, I understand it's tricky, and that was something I wanted to ask about too. When you have a tag situation where you're having a match where the heel is going to cheat or is supposed to cheat, how does that kind of work in terms of making sure that you're in the wrong place, shall we say, so that you're not seeing the cheating or you miss the tag for the baby faces or something like that? Is it just finding an audience member that's being vocal that you can use as a distraction, or is that something you sort of work out with the boys in advance of like, hey, right around here I'm gonna try for the tag, so you're not supposed to see it, be sure to be jaw jacking with somebody or miss it?
Typically what I do is, like, if I know they're in the heel corner, and I'll get them out of the corner. I usually, whoever's legal heel, I'll face them and have my back towards the heel corner. I'll sit there and I'll explain to him, be like, hey, come on, you got to get him out of the corner. You got till 5. You got to listen to me, and blah, blah, blah. Then usually he's watching them to see how long it's been.
Okay.
Now, go ahead.
And whenever, like, if I miss the faces tag, whatever, that's usually whenever I'm trying to get one of the heels out of the ring. That's not legal. And then I go over to the faces and be like, no, there's no tag. I didn't hear it, or I didn't see it. I need you out of the ring, and so and so.
Now, when we interview wrestlers, a lot of times we ask them who their influences are or were, getting them into the business, or like sometimes when they're developing movesets and things like that. I'm going to ask you the same question. I don't want to say like who's your biggest influence as far as referees go, but I mean, who influences you in the world of wrestling? It can be referees, but I mean, if you had to answer that question, who would that be?
It would have to be Eddie Guerrero, actually.
Oh.
I've always been a fan of him ever since I was little. I've liked his wrestling set and all that. And it sucks that he died, it really does.
Yeah.
And so I still go back today and watch all of his matches that I possibly can.
Well, I was going to say, you're a bit young for Eddie Guerrero, so I'm imagining that you went back and seen a lot of his stuff.
Right.
Any match in particular that stands out to you that you were like, wow, that was just amazing? I mean, in particular, or can you remember?
It's not really a match, more of a storyline. It was between Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero for the custody of Dominic. That
a lot of people talk about that ladder match, and yeah.
And for me, that really brought like me as a fan into the story, because it's more like, it's not just about wrestling; it's about family now.
Right? Oh yeah. And make no mistake about it, they are family. They were, but they, so it felt at the time that whole storyline feels real, and it actually seems it's really cool now seeing Dominic now get into the business.
Right.
And actually get as far as one half of the tag team champions on the main roster. So it's kind of cool to see that, because I remember the little kid in that storyline.
Right.
Referee work though. Like, have you ever looked at matches from back in the day and watched like some of the classic referees like Charles Robinson or Earl Hebner or anybody like that?
Yes, that's actually, like, how the boys, they sit there and they go back and watch old matches and all that and just see movesets. I do the same thing for referees.
That's what I was thinking.
It's kind of hard because, some of the shots they cut out the referee, they're more focused on the wrestlers.
Right.
But that's the tough part of the business as a referee. Is like you go back and try to watch some of the videos, but it's like it's kind of hard when the referee's not in the shot.
What would you say would be the most difficult thing about being a referee in professional wrestling?
Difficult thing about being a referee in professional wrestling would have to be, let's see, would have to be just trying to stay out of the way most of the time, because you never know what the wrestlers are going to do. You know, because they don't tell you what they're going to do. They just go in there, they do what they do, and that's it.
Without naming names, do you have any stories where that kind of didn't go the way as planned?
Not that I can remember, no.
Oh, okay.
He's got some time yet. I
Yeah.
say, my friend the referee, he has some stories from some people that are kind of well known, and they're ex WWE people who are not the easiest or the best to work with.
Right. Tell us about a time where perhaps you fell into harm's way and accidentally got hurt.
Or accidentally got hurt. It would actually have to be this last night, actually, because we
Really?
we had Paul London in for a seminar
Oh,
for the show.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
And, you know, it was him going up against one of our big guys, and he had a manager at ringside. You know, and the manager got up on the apron. You know, I tried to stop him. You know, and Paul London just came over there and got in between us, or he got behind me. He started arguing with him. Then all of a sudden, the other wrestlers came and squashed all of us. Actually.
Wow. Like squashed you as in how? Like what happened to you?
Like he just came and he like did a splash to all of us in the corner, and I don't remember anything after that.
Ouch.
Oh, wow.
That was last night.
Yes.
God bless you.
Have you been checked out? Like, are you okay? Like, did the doctor examine you and all that?
Yeah, I'm good. I just had
good.
a little headache afterwards, but he said I was good to go.
Okay, because you said you don't remember anything after that, so that immediately kind of triggered me to like, gee, I hope he doesn't have a concussion. I hope he's been checked for one, you know?
Yeah, that was one of the first things that they tested me for.
Okay, good.
Now, I'm going to ask you a little bit harder question where we've kind of stumbled into in 2020, obviously there weren't as many shows.
Right.
And so how do you as a referee continue to work on your craft during that time period? Because you weren't getting booked, and they weren't having, you know, too many shows when COVID was at its peak in 2020. So wrestlers will answer that question with, oh, well, we work out, we do this, we do that. I know a guy that has a ring. How do you as a referee stay sharp and focused and and continue this journey moving forward?
How I did that was I watched videos a lot. I try to stay active as much as I possibly can. And then whenever wrestlers, they have training, I'll try to go up there with them to training, you know, and they do a couple exhibition matches with me. And so.
Now, I noticed you have a WrestleMania shirt on. Have you ever been to a WrestleMania?
I have not, no.
You have not. Do you know that next year's WrestleMania is in Texas?
Yes, and me and my dad are trying to plan on going if we can get tickets.
There you go. Right there at Jerry World. Then Jerry World.
Yeah.
There's going to be 100,000 fans there, you know.
Yes, I do.
Crazy. Keith and I went to WrestleMania 29, which was up here in New Jersey.
Oh, wow.
Giant Stadium.
At Giant Stadium, MetLife Stadium, whatever. Yeah, that was the one where it was Rock versus Cena. It also had CM Punk versus The Undertaker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that was a good one.
I don't think we didn't have a Rock versus Cena on that one. I'm trying to think. We had Taker versus Punk.
Yeah, we had Jericho versus Fandango in the first match.
Right, which Jericho lost. Which
Jericho lost.
Wow.
Yes, it's so true.
I think that's where the midlife crisis and the backslide started. Like everything he's done lately stems from losing to Fandango. It ruined him.
Yep. So how much wrestling do you watch of today's stuff, Parker? Do you just strictly watch WWE, or do you watch it all?
I watch it all, you know, because it's all different variety. Like WWE is very different from Impact and AEW. You know, let's try to get a different variety.
is there certain stars of today that you like watching, you enjoy watching?
No, not really. I mean,
None of them?
it's all kind of bland to me right now. You know,
Yeah,
because it's the
that's
same
how
thing
that
every week.
you're right. You're barking right up the professor's tree right there because he feels exactly the same way about the current product. I don't feel that way completely, but I am on the side of they need to do better.
Right.
Yeah, there are definitely still people that stand out, but I mean, and I get it. It's hard to a degree because, one of the strengths of wrestling used to be if you were running a territory, you only had so many people watching it. You could sort of recycle things every few years, and people would go, "Wow, I've never seen that before." Now that you're 30 years into basically one company being national and being kind of a standard bearer, they repeat themselves a lot more often. And it's a lot harder to go, well, I haven't seen this before. There's
Right.
only so many ways to have people get in a fight, and I get where that's tough to do, but sometimes it just seems like, really? Were we even trying with that one? We're
Yeah.
going to fight over a sword made out of the Loch Ness Monster's tooth. Are
Or
we
like,
for real right now? Is
or
this
like the one thing
wrestling?
that got me was like whenever they did the draft, and they moved the Mysterios over to SmackDown, and they also moved Seth Rollins over to SmackDown.
Right,
It was like, okay, I thought we were going to get something new, but I guess not.
right.
Yeah.
And I
And
think they're doing that
that's a
again
problem
soon.
too.
I think they're doing a superstar shakeup soon. How did you feel about the news of the Fiend / Bray Wyatt being released from WWE?
I think that's the worst mistake WWE has ever done. You know, because
Great answer.
The Fiend was going to be. I feel like the Fiend was going to be the next Undertaker.
Great answer. Keith will disagree with you, but great answer.
Well, I mean, I get where we can feel like it's the worst mistake ever, but I think they've made some bigger mistakes. But as I did say in the group today, I was wrong. It was a budget cut move. John
Oh,
Laurinaitis even called him and said, "Look, it's nothing you did. It's just budget cuts." And I mean, if you're going to run an entertainment company, you're going to run a wrestling company with the idea of we don't want to be even a little bit in the red. I can't understand it. I mean, I'm
they're
not
gonna
saying
regret
throw
it
gobs of money at everybody and not worry about it, but Jesus
if
Christ, the guy was moving merchandise. Why are we sitting there and looking at that particular contract and saying you don't want to be here? Unless they're
Parker
moving towards a sale, I just don't get it.
Parker, if he shows up within the next 6 months to a year at AEW, I mean, how cool will that be?
I mean, I think it would be awesome for them. You know, get one of the hottest free agents that is currently out there.
I mean, there are all these
Absolutely.
rumors about CM Punk and Bryan Danielson and all that stuff, but I mean, if they sign one of those three, would be great. If they sign all three of them, that's a problem.
Right. And no offense to AEW or anything, but I feel like what they're doing is the same thing as WCW did in signing all their ex WWE talent, in which I feel like that's going to be their mistake.
Did you put the boy out of the room?
No,
Have you put him out of the room yet?
he's right over there.
And
That's why I'm laughing. My
that's
son
right
is a
in
Parker. My son is a huge AEW supporter and fan, and
the
he's.
mark.
It all started with back even before AEW existed. Like he was a big fan already of of Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks and everybody, and always has been a fan of Jericho. And then you take all those people and Cody Rhodes, and you take all those people and you put them in to one organization with money behind it, and you bring in different guys here and there, and all of a sudden you got something rolling. And then he loves Sammy Guevara, he loves Darby Allin. Like
Right.
there's guys that on that roster that he really gets behind and he follows. Regard and his generation, and it was sort of my son's 21 also.
Okay.
It's
So
the same
that's
generation.
why it shocks me to hear somebody of your age say that, because you're looking at it from a wrestling point of view, because you are in the business, you are a referee. So like looking at it with that, it's not. I don't want to say the word biased, but it's not, because like you want to be entertained and you really are secretly rooting for them so that wrestlers who aren't getting paid by WWE have a place to go to get paid to do this for a living.
Right.
That's the bottom line. But AEW, in the beginning, I was excited for. I was excited. I watched it. I watched every pay-per-view. I got really excited, right? And they started to do some things that got, there's too many hands in the basket. You need one guy, not Tony Khan. You need one guy who knows wrestling, booking things, and you got to get it all set up and have that person book things and not, and then he makes these comments a lot of times about, well, the reason why the elite are heels and they're champions, that's why it works. It works because, we're sick of seeing them champion. Well, yes, it works to an extent, but you can't have that happen for a year, 2 years, 3 years.
Right. You need some kind of change.
And my other issue, too, is these guys are also executives in the company, and they go on Twitter and they say stupid, egotistical things, and they're not saying it in character.
Right.
They're very much,
and they badmouth WWE every 5 minutes. I don't see anybody in WWE doing that, not live on TV anyway.
No.
Right.
I mean, Twitter's a different story, but
Twitter's a cesspool. I mean, it really is. But
they take shots at WWE all the time.
In the worst way. To me, if you're an officer in the company, you should not be out there shitting on fans or shitting on people that criticize you, and basically acting like, oh, wrestling school? Oh, that's for losers. Only losers would go to wrestling school, because that's the attitude I get from especially the Bucks, and it really annoys me. Like, it's great that you guys went your own way, and that's fine. You did that, and you were successful. You made a lot of money. You're making a lot of money right now. I get it, and that's fine, and you can have that opinion, but I think you don't have to go out there on Twitter and basically take the attitude of like, yeah, we didn't need any of that antiquated dumb stuff, so haha, everybody who does this is stupid, and F you, and da-da-da-da-da. Like, why? What is the point of that? What is the point of just crapping on people for no reason? I get crapping on somebody who craps on you, but even then, I feel like you should probably.
But to Parker's point, though, bringing in WWE talent is not a bad thing. I mean, I know it's being compared to WCW, but look how great wrestling was during the Monday Night Wars when you had WWE talent showing up, when you had Kevin Nash and Scott Hall show up over there. Things started to happen. That's what makes it fun. And I think if they signed Bryan Danielson and or CM Punk and or Bray Wyatt, I think it's going to make it really fun to watch to see what happens over there. And if I have to watch Dynamite in order to see CM Punk or Bryan Danielson or Bray Wyatt, I'm going to do it.
Right. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. I'm saying that they're repeating in WCW's footsteps, and we all see where WCW went.
Yes, but the thing is, Vince is not going to buy AEW, though. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. The big problem for WCW was when you were bringing these guys in and you made the NWO, you very clearly were making an outside invader storyline. You were making the WWF is invading WCW.
Right.
Where that storyline needed to culminate was it either needed to be what Bischoff envisioned it to be, where you do a brand split and one show is NWO and one show is WCW.
Right.
And then they did Sold Out, and obviously they proved that they were not going to understand how to make an NWO show work.
Right.
So at that point, the fight needs to be, how does WCW ultimately rise up and defeat the NWO and defeat WCW?
Right.
And then how do we integrate the NWO guys into a stronger WCW brand? And the mistake to me is that the NWO to me was never truly defeated. A lot of guys got hurt. You started to beat the mid-card NWO guys.
And they split to the Wolfpack.
Well, even before that, like, you did get that all back together in 99, but then Savage gets hurt.
Right.
Hogan gets hurt for a little while.
Yeah.
Nash gets hurt. Hall has his personal problems. All the guys that you would want to beat the NWO and put the NWO on the shelf, it doesn't happen. They sort of get rid of the NWO through attrition. It's never really beaten. and then those guys just randomly come back. And the TNA mistake was you bring these guys in and they're the champion within a month. So
Right.
it's great to have these guys that have that exposure on there. Parker's 100% right. But what you've got to do is you've got to walk that line between, yes, we know these guys are major stars and drawing eyeballs to the product, and we want them to look good and look like stars, but we also need them to show that our guys are stars and give our guys that rub and bring our guys up to their level.
All
And
right,
that's the trick that has to be pulled off. That's the magic trick.
All right, Parker. We asked this of all of our wrestling guests, our wrestler guests, but normally in this scenario, we ask them if they could book themselves against anybody alive, dead, or still wrestling. Who would that be and why? In your case, I'm going to ask you if you could special guest referee a match, be it a one-on-one, a tag match, a 6-man tag, whatever you want. Who would it be and why?
It would have to be the WrestleMania match between Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair.
Nice.
The retirement match of Ric Flair, like Ric Flair is also one of the guys I looked up to in this business,
Nice.
and I just always wanted to referee one of his matches.
Woo! Spitfire Marcus Johnson in the house. What's up, brother? Parker.
What's up?
Do your job.
You got to pay me first.
Spitfire is making the rounds. I seen Spitfire on Facebook. He puts up a post, Parker, that says, "Is there any wrestling podcast that hasn't had me on as a guest that'd be interested?" Next thing you know, he's got like half a dozen wrestling podcasts saying, me. Hey, come on down, hook it up. You know what I'm saying? So I'm happy for Marcus, and it was a pleasure to have Marcus on. We did have Marcus, and Marcus did point us. Marcus did point us in your direction, so you could thank him for that.
Right. Thank you again, Marcus.
Shawn Michaels versus Ric Flair. He would have loved to have refereed that match, Keith.
It was a great match, and it's one of those examples of just great storytelling, even though obviously the roots of it, made no sense, where Vince just comes out one day and is like, I'm tired of Ric Flair.
Right.
I don't like him anymore. The next time you lose, you're fired.
Don't you think that he came to Vince and he said, we got to find a way to wind this down because...
I'm sure it's just...
You know what I mean? Because Vince will let you wrestle till you're dead.
Yeah, but I mean, it's that problem of storytelling where it's like, I feel like you needed to get to that point, and it just kind of felt like, Vince just randomly woke up one day on the wrong side of the bed and is like, I'm just going to end Ric Flair's career. I'm just going to put Ric Flair in a gauntlet situation.
I don't believe that at all. You believe that, Parker?
No, not at all.
I don't believe Vince in real life did that, but storyline Mr. McMahon, that's kind of how it came off. Is like he got on the wrong side of the bed one day and just decided, I'm just going to fuck with Ric Flair and I'm going to end his career. I'm going to tell him that, the next guy he loses to, that's the end of his career.
Here's one, Parker, that we forgot to ask you is, were you ever told in the back that for some reason you're going to screw over one of the opponents? So you're going to pull a referee like dick move, so to speak.
No, but we've done this to a couple of wrestlers, whenever they win their first title. And they tell them that, the champion's going to go over, so you're just going to take this move and it's going to be over.
Right.
And they tell me, no, it's actually not going to be it. We're not going to even get to that part. They're just going to pin me right here.
And why would they do that? I have a guess why, but why would they do that?
It's just to see how they can do as champion mostly, and just see their reaction.
Right. That's what I was gonna say. And Keith probably agrees with me. The only reason why you would do that is for shock value. Right. So they have a genuine look of shock, like, holy shit, I just won the title.
Right.
Right? Yeah. And that's cool that actually happens, because I wonder if that happens elsewhere too. I wonder if that happens not just on the indie circuit, like it happens on WWE or something, just for like that reaction. Because I've seen wrestlers who you think to yourself, okay, like she just like say Bianca Belair, for example. She just won the title at WrestleMania. So you're thinking, all right, she won the Royal Rumble. She probably knew going in she's gonna win the title that night.
Right.
But genuinely when the match is done and she's holding that belt, she starts bawling her eyes out.
Right.
And so I wonder if they used a little of that or not, or I don't know.
Like whether or not they actually use that or not, I feel like that's just like a genuine reaction. Basically feel like inside that you made it. Like you made it to the top of the company, so to speak.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing. And so so do you have anything coming up that you want to promote or where you're gonna be next or where Top of Texas is gonna be next?
No, not really. I know Top Texas, we're going to take a month off just to get everything situated, with COVID cases rising
Recharge
again.
the batteries.
Yeah, and recharge the batteries. And so it's just like take a little time off, get everything back and organized. So
what are you going to be doing for that month?
I'm going to be studying a lot of videos and trying to stay active and
student of the game.
Just trying to get booked somewhere else.
Never a day off.
Nope, not in this business. No.
So if you don't mind me asking, like, what's your shoot job?
My shoot job is I work at a gas station.
Oh, okay.
I work at a gas station, and I'm actually a deli manager there.
There you go. Awesome. And I'd be remiss to say, did you celebrate your 21st birthday in style? Did you Ric Flair it? Did you style and profile?
No, what actually happened was my dad took me out to this bar because him and my brother played pool league that night.
All right.
And everyone there was buying me drinks, and afterwards we went over to their captain's house, and they got me drunk.
Do you remember that night?
I remember everything up to getting to the car to go home. After that, I don't remember anything.
See, because I completely failed as a father. I took my son out on his 21st birthday, and the idea was to get him drunk, and I failed, right? So then what happened then is my mother said, oh, well, we're going out this weekend. Why don't you come out with us, right? So they went to this thing, and they did not fail. And he got very inebriated on everybody else's dime. And then on top of that, his mother, which is my ex-wife, all right? Just make no mistakes about it. His mother takes him on a trip down to Florida. So everybody's outdoing me by 1,000%. He goes down to Florida and he gets a tattoo.
All right.
So, I mean, whatever. Cursed Vibes. I mean, do you know Cursed Vibes?
I do not know them, no.
I'm here. Oh, nice to meet you, Curse.
Yeah.
He had to do 21 shots of assorted liquors.
Yes, that is correct.
There it is.
That'll do it. That'll get you wasted.
I didn't know what they were. I just knew that I had
well, what's your drink of choice? Like, if you're at a party or somewhere, and do you like?
It'd have to be rum and Coke.
Yeah,
I like that too.
That's up my alley because my brother just recently celebrated his 40th birthday, and I did nothing but Captain Morgan and Cokes all damn night.
Hey, there you go.
Now Keith over there, he enjoys a good Yingling lager.
Yeah.
Keith, did you do 21 shots on your 21st?
I don't think so. No.
I don't think so either. I think I did Mad Dog 2020.
No, I think that was your birthday there.
What's up, Tyler? Spitfire Marcus says, thank goodness that was after the show.
Yeah.
You imagine refereeing Parker? How would that work out? Like, how would that work out, man?
I don't think that would ever work out.
No, I don't think the promoter would
ever doing that.
That's yeah.
I have much more respect for the business than do that.
And that's awesome to hear, right, Keith?
Yes, it is.
We got a bigger audience now. Hello, everybody. Welcome. This is Parker CHRZANOWSKI from Texas, and he is a referee. Ask him questions because we've asked him almost every question I could think of. You could ask for a referee. Nathaniel says, I'm here.
Welcome.
Parker, what did you referee last night? Main event, possibly?
No, the match I refereed last night was Sama Tamu versus Paul London.
Paul, and that's kind of cool, Keith, right? That he worked with a guy like Paul London, who was WWE, and you know what I mean? That's awesome.
Yeah, it's nice to hear Paul London still out there doing his thing.
Tyler says, Keith, when will Sage Matthews be here? Well,
we are working on that.
We are
believe,
working
right?
on that.
I know I talked
And
to them at the
Sage
last
Matthews,
show.
and I'm gonna and Parker, excuse me for doing this right now and right here and now, but Sage Matthews and Alan Clayball, you know your asses are wanted right here on Around the Turnbuckle. It seems like Dog Nation is ducking us, so you better stop ducking us, because then we know exactly where to find you. That's all I'm gonna say. Sage Matthews, Tyler Sage Matthews will be here as soon as Sage Matthews wants to be here.
Well, Sage Matthews just went out and won himself a singles title last night. I don't know if that maybe perhaps
yes, he did.
Adam, maybe
Congratulations. Congratulations, Sage Matthews. Curtis says that's a real man's drink, rum and coke. Try root beer and rum. That's good too.
Okay, I'll try that next time.
Root beer and rum.
I'm always worried about that being like too sweet.
Well, that's what it is. See, that Not Your Father's root beer, I love that because it just tastes like regular root beer, but it's supposed to get you drunk. The problem is it's too sweet, so you can't drink a 6-pack of Not Your Father's root beer.
No.
Mike City in the house. What's up, Big Mike? This is referee, Top of Texas referee, Parker CHRZANOWSKI. Say hello. Chris Vance. Okay, look at this. How often do you ref? I think he means, do you travel or is it all local?
Typically don't travel yet. I'm wanting to travel, but I referee almost every weekend here in Texas.
Hello, Parker. Nice to meet you. Big
nice
Mike
to meet you too, Mike.
Yeah, Big Mike is a wrestler up here in Pennsylvania mostly, but I mean he's been spreading his wings a little bit. And we've seen him in action, and we love when Mike pops in. I would suspect that probably wouldn't change unless. Am I wrong in saying that, Parker? That you probably stay in Texas unless a big opportunity came your way where you're like, hey, somebody says, hey, we need a referee, and you're like,
Well, not necessarily. Like, if we don't have a show here, I would want to travel, even if I don't get booked there. If I know a wrestling event's happening, like in, say, New Mexico or Oklahoma, if I can make it there just to be for the show, if they don't use me, then I can just go to watch.
How was it working with a monster like Sama Tamu and a vet like Paul London in the same ring?
Oh, well, the monster like Sama Tamu, he's kind of wild. You never know what he's going to do, actually. And Paul London, he is a great guy to work with, in and outside of the ring. Working with him inside the ring against the monster, it was kind of a new experience, a way to see wrestling, actually. Because, you see a veteran like him going up against a big monster like Sama. It saw a whole new world for me.
Big Mike is saying, do you call your matches down the middle?
Always.
50-50, Mike. He's not chicanery referee. He's not Danny Davis sitting here.
I feel like he might have just missed out on some paychecks from Mike City. Just saying.
I mean, it's Price is Right. It's like the $1 Million Man once said, everyone's got a price.
I was just gonna bring that up. You Ted DiBiase does.
I love it. I love it, and I'm not knocking your age, brother, but I love it when a guy your age makes reference to old school stuff like that. There's no bigger thrill for me as a wrestling fan. That means you are a student of the game. He's the real deal. Nice. Love it. Love all the comments coming in, man. Guys, keep them coming. That's great.
Yeah.
We're talking to Parker CHRZANOWSKI from Top of Texas Wrestling. We just lost him.
We lost him. Uh-oh.
Just as I said that. He probably hit, I saw him hitting his phone to keep the light going on.
Oh, maybe he accidentally hit the wrong button.
And he might have hit the wrong button there. But
we'll
get him back. We'll get him back. Big Chris.
I actually had the honor of meeting Ted DiBiase once. Did I ever tell you that?
No.
I did. I had the honor of meeting Ted DiBiase and Sean Waltman when he was the 1-2-3 kid. A friend of mine in middle school had won a radio contest, and it was a meet and greet with Ted DiBiase and the 1-2-3 kid, and then we went up to, I think, it was Stabler, which I know our guest has no idea what I'm talking about with that.
Stabler Arenas.
But
we didn't know if
Stabler
you were
Arena
coming, Parker. We didn't know if you were coming right back, so he started to
I
tell
just
a
started
time that he
filming
met.
history.
Yeah, he started to tell a story about how he met the $1 Million Man.
Oh,
As
okay.
you mentioned him. Chris Van,
Yeah.
is this a career that you're looking into? Is there good money in being a referee?
It's always been a dream of mine to be in wrestling, working for a professional wrestling company. And as a referee, it's kind of harder to get booked somewhere because, most people, they just want to look for the wrestlers. They don't look at the other guys. So it's I got to kind of work harder to
Keith,
get
I'm
booked.
kind of wondering if like WWE or AEW is ever like specifically looking for referees. I wonder if that's a thing.
I know in WWE they do train referees in NXT, like they train everyone else.
Right.
I would imagine, like Parker was saying, it's probably a little harder elsewhere because, promoters have their friends or have people they trust or people they know, and being a referee, you don't really bump, you don't really do anything. So in theory, you can referee as long as, your knees and your hands and your body holds out. So, I mean, you could be a little old man, and as long as it's holding out, you can do that. I know there were, oh, that's not nice.
Yeah,
Mark.
what does Spitfire Marcus Johnston mean by he was pretty blind in my match last night?
So what happened was he was in a tag match with his partner, Draven Reeves, against Resistance. And apparently I wasn't calling it right down the middle because he kept on trying to get in the ring whenever he wasn't the legal man.
Wow, there you go. Fort Knox Training Center will train to be a referee as well, Keith.
Great to know, yeah.
Great plug there for Fort Knox up here in PA. Doesn't help a guy in Texas, but just saying.
Yeah, well, we're always happy to give Fort Knox a plug. We're always happy to give the Dungeon a plug.
Matthews, stop ducking him. Hear that? Tyler Matthews, Tyler says stop ducking us. All right. I promise you we will get Dog Nation on here. It's gonna happen. It's a matter of scheduling.
Yeah, I know I talked to them at the last show, and unless they were blowing smoke, they seem very receptive to getting on the show and coming and talking to us. I mean, I know they're big stars right now. They just won the tag titles and all that. Little bit controversial there, but the record book does say they won. Video footage might say they didn't exactly do it on their own, but they are
Parker,
the tag team champions.
Is there anything that we're gonna switch gears here? I always like to do this, and then sometimes guys freeze. They're like, no, not really. But I'm gonna ask you anyway to see what happens. Is there anything, like, if you were interviewing us, what would you ask us?
Okay, for example, like, as you guys are wrestling fans, how curious of you guys are, like, do you guys want to be a part of the wrestling business, or you guys just want to stay as fans?
Well, I'll answer that quick, and then I'll let Keith answer his. I pictured myself, if I ever tried doing something remotely part of the business, I would love to be a ring announcer.
Okay.
That would be my thing. I don't know how or where about to go about doing that. I really don't. But I know that I have a big mouth. And I know that if you give me a microphone, I'm probably not too bad at it. And I had it in my head one day when I was a kid that one day I'm going to be announcing the main event at WrestleMania. And and it's not over until it's over, but I'm 45 at this point. So, I mean, I'll just take ring announcing one match at a local show one of these days, much to the chagrin of some of the local ring announcers. But yeah, that'd be my thing. I picture Keith as an evil manager, but that's just me.
That's actually kind of what I always thought I could do. I always thought I could be like an evil manager, or I could be a commentator. I always thought I could kind of think on my feet and have that gift of gab to help somebody get over, because I am not an athlete. I am not even close to an athlete. But I can think, I can be creative. So I thought if I ever got involved in the business, that would be something I could contribute. And I mean, I feel like we contribute something now by giving guys a platform and being able to let them tell their stories and all that stuff.
Yep.
I hope we're doing something. I know
That's why we do it, Parker. We do this show because in our own way, we feel like we're giving guys a platform who are in the business, who aren't in the mainstream or on television. They're independent wrestling stars, referees, managers, promoters, and they come on and they tell their story so that people realize how much wrestling is really in your own neighborhood.
Right. And I do appreciate you guys for letting me come on here and talk.
Oh, man, it was our pleasure. It was absolutely our pleasure, and you were a delight. And I told you a couple weeks ago, I don't know if you remember, texting you that the hour goes really, really fast, and we're at the 50-minute mark already, and it doesn't feel like that. And and a lot of times that happens naturally because we had a shit ton of comments and questions here. Tyler, hey, Keith, this is addressed to you about Dog Nation. What do you mean it looked clean to me? Dog Nation's title victory.
I guess we have. I mean, well, let's ask Parker as a referee.
There you go.
So what had happened was, Dog Nation are not the nicest guys in the world.
Well, they're the heel tag team.
They're a little bit of heels.
Top heel tag team.
The match had been set up against them. The champions had all the advantages. They had a special guest referee that was their buddy, that was not making fair counts, was not doing the correct thing. Right. So Dog Nation are the champions because one half of the other team turned on the other.
On his partner.
Now, we don't know whether or not there was a payoff involved. Did Dog Nation
or why?
Him off? Did he just decide he was done? So, I mean, there is kind of a gray area there, I guess you would say.
Plus the fact that the referee was incapacitated during the 3 count.
Yes.
So what the guy did was his partner's down. Dog Nation has the cover. He crawls over, grabs the referee's hand himself, and counts the 3 with the referee's dead hand.
And cost himself the championship.
And right. So, I mean, does that count? Are they champions? I mean, it's highly questionable.
I mean, the ruling was they are.
Technically, yes, because the referee technically did make the 3 count.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But also at the same time, you can also say no because the referee was unconscious.
He was. But, yeah.
So
it was an interesting match.
To make the ruling here, let's say you're the authority figure for the promotion, you would hold the tag titles up, it sounds like. You would say, wait a minute, we don't have champions right now because of the chicanery.
I don't know.
Correct. Like, I would hold a tag team vacant, until we get new champions crowned some way or another.
Well, I know they left with the belts. I saw them with the belts.
They're the champs.
9/10 of the law. We'll have to see the next show in August. I don't know if Dino Santa is watching this show, but
sometimes he does.
He does have the power
Shout out to Dino.
Make these decisions, and we do have a licensed official that is suggesting that the correct response in this situation is to hold the tag team championships up.
And that's not the reason why we had a licensed official on around the turnbuckle. We had a licensed official on around the turnbuckle because I thought it'd be a really interesting interview. And Parker, it was a very interesting interview, seeing it from a perspective of a referee. We wish you nothing but the best, brother. Stay safe. Most of all, enjoy the ride. And I hope and pray that someday you're refereeing matches that we're watching on TV, and I'm like, holy shit, that's Parker CHRZANOWSKI.
Thank you. I do appreciate that.
I do, man. Yeah, man. And Keith, you got any parting gifts for our man?
Yeah, I mean, I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for what you do because, at the end of the day, we're all nerds. We're all
Right.
nerds that just love this thing
Love it.
and we want the best wrestling we can possibly get. And you're in really like I said at the top, you're in the unsung spot. You're in the spot of the guy that makes it work without showing off and that has to eat all the shit when things don't necessarily go the way that the talent thinks it should go. So you're kind of in a lose-lose sometimes.
Right.
And I appreciate that that's your passion, that you're willing to go out there no matter what and say, hey, this is what I want to do. This is the dream, and I'm going to contribute in my own way to the business.
Thank you.
Parker, any last words, my friend?
No, just once again, thank you guys for letting me come on here and talk about refereeing.
Thanks, man. We wish you nothing but the best. Guys, if you enjoyed our show, like our videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is 2M1L Media. He is referee Parker CHRZANOWSKI. He is the Professor Keith. I am the Big Alboski. This was Around the Turnbuckle. We will be back next weekend. I'm not sure if we're doing a show on Saturday, but Sunday for sure, where our guest will be Matt Quay. Matt Quay.
Very
Matt
excited
Quay,
to have Matt
yes,
Quay.
very
Matt,
excited to talk to Matt.
Hamburg.
Yes, the Outbreak Wrestling Zone, Matt Quay. We will see you guys next Sunday for that. The Professor and I may or not be back on Saturday. Also, tune into the rest of our shows. Tuesday nights, Home Team Sports. Check out Spittin' with Spitter on Wednesday nights. You never know when we might pop up. Parker, thank you so much for coming on, my brother. We wish you nothing but the best of luck. This has been Around the Turnbuckle. I'm the Big Alboski.
Before you sign off, I have an idea for next Saturday.
Go ahead.
Let's challenge the audience a little bit.
Oh.
If you want a show next Saturday, send us questions.
Yeah.
Let's do a mailbag episode.
Show idea.
Right. Send us show ideas. Send us questions. What do you want us to talk about? What would you like answered next Saturday?
I love that idea, Keith.
Put some stuff in the Around the Turnbuckle fan page.
Yep.
DM me around.
DM me directly.
Parker, throw some questions at us. Let's make it interactive.
Parker, that's why I call him the Professor.
I see that now.
Not Matt Quay. Okay.
Well, maybe if you don't want Matt Quay on the show, Mike, maybe you should commit to a date yourself. Just saying.
Well, he was on, Legends of Hamburg.
But the Legends of Hamburg, they were quick.
All right. Parker, thanks again, my brother. Nothing but the best for you. Thanks for coming on. I will send you the link to this show. You can send it to everybody who didn't watch live. Thank you, everybody, by the way, who chimed in live. Thank you, Mike City. Thank you, everybody that chimed in live. Thank you so much. Big Chris is always a big supporter. Thank you, Spitfire Marcus Johnson, for getting us Parker in the first place. And we're going to see everybody next weekend, at least, on Around the Turnbuckle. See you then.
Ladies and gentlemen, what you gonna do, brother? Oh, yeah! Woo! What? If you smell what the rock